Questions and answers. Your host, Adrian Lee.
Oh, yes indeed, there are more questions than answers. Like, is the brain the most interesting part of the body? When you realise what is actually telling you that. Hi America, hello world, my name is Adrian Lee, and I am your host. My brain ignores my alarm in the morning, lets me sleep in, and then makes me dream that I'm getting ready for work and I'm doing my ablutions. How sick is that? That's a terrible thing. I'm getting tricked by my own brains and I don't suspect anything. And then I have to explain why I'm always late. Do you like getting up in the morning? Is that a thing you enjoy? Who
Not
likes getting
really.
up? No? Are you one of these people that presses the snooze alarm 30 times and then turns up late with your blouse hanging out and a piece of toast in your hand? You a morning person, Morris?
No,
You don't like mornings very
I
much.
hate the sun.
So we've all agreed that the best time to be doing this show is at 9 p.m. Central Time on a Saturday night. Doesn't that sound like a good plan for everybody?
Yes.
Welcome to the show. More questions than answers. The only paranormal news quiz show anywhere in the world. Each week, my guests and I will search the world's newspapers, websites and TV shows just for you to bring you the very best in paranormal talk radio entertainment and enlightenment. We will then test each other's knowledge of the week's events of the mysterious, strange, supernatural, unusual, bizarre, and just plain weird. If you have just tuned in especially to hear the show, then I admire your taste. If you have just tuned in by accident, then I admire your luck. I am huddled under my quilt with a large flashlight and a nice cup of tea with tonight's guests, somewhere in the barren wildernesses of the Midwest Plains, with the sound of my elderly mother snoring distantly from the room next door. Each week, we press our ear against the bedroom wall. Whatever my mother listens to before she goes to bed picks and pulls on her unconscious mind. Let's have a listen tonight, boys and girls. There. Any thoughts? Any suggestions? What's my mother had on? She's got her LPs out. She's blown the fluff off of her stylus. All's good in the world. Any thoughts?
None.
Push it.
We're gonna rock down to Electric Avenue, and then we'll take it higher.
Oh,
Eddie Grant.
good.
Do you remember Eddie Grant?
No.
I loved that
He was
song.
huge in Britain. I think that got to number 2 in America and in Britain, but he got to number 1 with I Don't Wanna Dance, which I don't think got anywhere in America. Give Me Hope, Johanna was another one. Very interesting gentleman. Guess how old Eddie Grant is? Because I looked this up out of interest. I will give you points straight off the bat before we've even jumped in. My philanthropy knows no bounds. How old is Eddie Grant? First person, closest one.
65.
65.
77.
Oh, I'm going to have to do some very basic maths. You are the closest. Michelle is in fact 73. So you get your first dreadlocked, I don't want to dance points of the evening. I'm just throwing them around. It's crazy talk,
Yes.
I tell you. But she's listening to a bit of Eddie Grant, a bit of reggae there. So snuggle under your covers, turn out your lights and hold on tight. The rules are very simple. Points will be awarded randomly for being interesting or for making me laugh or shiver in horror. Extra points will be available for shock and or value. To help me control my rowdy panel of recidivists and reprobates, I will employ what I have called the inappropriate bell. That example of this would be... I didn't even have to touch it. Look at my Jedi skills. Look, ready? There you go. What about this one? What about that? What about this? It's a gift. Well, mine sounds pretty weak now. Listen to this.
Yeah.
Look.
Mm-mm.
That's a dud.
Mine's rich.
Yes, well, you've still got your springs intact. Mine's been hit so many. Look at the state of that. It's rusty.
It's dented.
I've worn out. I've tired my spring. Is what's happened. Yours is nice and tight and taut. It's fresh out of the
Right.
box.
As
Yep.
it should be.
I've tired my spring through excessive use, through excessive
Go figure.
bell banging over the last 9 years. Terrible. The panel have no idea what's coming. I have no idea what stories they have for tonight's show. That is 100% true. I have no clue what's happening. Firstly, the mysterious and effervescent Heather Morris. She's been a paranormal investigator for many years with her own team called Hellhound Investigations and does all of her best work in the shadows.
Because I hate the sun.
She is now one of the, as you can tell by a Minnesotan corn-fed, moon-faced, round chancer face, and does all of her best work in the shadows. She is now one of the leading audio and EVP experts. I like the idea that people watching this all over America have their dogs now running to the front door. We're probably driving pets around America crazy. We might want to lay off the bell for a few minutes just so we keep our followers, would be my advice. She is now one of the leading audio and EVP and bell ringing experts from the International Paranormal Society and brings her knowledge and research skills to tonight's show. She's our producer and sound engineer and is a part-time campanologist.
I don't know what that is.
I thought you might say that. Well, raisin cookies that look like chocolate chip cookies are the main reason Heather has trust issues. Welcome to the
That's
show,
true.
Heather. Having a good week?
It's all right.
You like your week? I was electrocuted by a cookie when I was a kid. I touched it and the current went up my arm.
No.
I love this
Oh,
show.
God.
I love this show. Favourite cookie? There's no point.
White chocolate chip macadamia.
That's very specific.
Yeah.
Favourite cookie?
All of them.
You like all of them. Cookies, of course, are biscuits in Britain, and we're obsessed with tea. So, of course, biscuits, cookies go with tea. You dunk them in your tea, you put them in the saucer. You know, the tea's wet, the biscuit's dry. What a perfect combination. Didn't Paul McCartney write a song about that once? The biscuit's wet, the tea is dry. Something like that. I'm
What?
getting confused. Ebony and ivory. Biscuits and tea. Anyway, we have entire
Lord.
aisles. We have miles and miles as far as the eye can see. If I said to you, go and get me some of the biscuits at the end of the aisle, you'd be coming back with an accent. We have biscuits, fondant fancies, sponge fingers, little cakes, everything that you can have with. There's a whole industry attached to what you can have with a cup of tea. So on the back of that, I like chocolate hobnobs if anyone's interested, but you can't always get them over here. But I do like the white chocolate macadamia nuts. That is a good choice.
Yes.
And your cookies are like manhole covers, aren't they? We
Yeah.
have dainty little things that sit on saucers, whereas you're gnawing on a manhole cover.
Ooh, I know what my favorite cookie is now.
You've given 3 minutes it's taken you to get to this point. Has it gone?
Monster cookies.
Monster cookies. I have no idea what a monster cookie is.
It's like a peanut butter oatmeal with M&Ms in it. It's
Is
so
it like
good.
French vanilla, Rocky Road, chocolate, peanut butter, cookie dough?
Scoop, there it is.
That's been on my brain for weeks. Damn you and your ways. You're ruining my life.
Tag team.
100% true. I also wish to introduce the man crazy. Sorry, rabbits. Michelle Corrie. She was born and raised in Moira, Minnesota, and has a keen and avid interest in all things paranormal. Michelle has learned to be nice to nerds in order to prevent supervillains. You're
Yes.
doing the world a service, aren't
I
you?
am.
And you're polite and friendly to everybody.
That's right.
Favourite villain of all time? What do you think? Dracula? Joker?
I got
Darth Vader?
Joker,
Norman
Penguin,
Bates? Who's the guy from Silence of the Lambs?
Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah, there's quite a few villains to choose from there. There you go. I think you should actually be nice and polite to nerds, because one day you're going to be working for them, I suspect, is what's going to happen. They're mad, they're bad, and they are paranormal. This is Series 4, Episode 32, I believe, so thank you to all of those people that gave me that answer last week. I lost track. Unless you're telling me fibs, I genuinely believe that we're on Episode 32 of Season 4. I think we're on Episode 305 overall, something like that. We're making our way slowly towards the 400s. Before we go any further, before we enter the round that we call a lack of general knowledge, I'm going to be reading out questions. You can play along at home. This show is 100% interactive, and you can't say that about most shows that you get on the television. If you go right now, right this minute, to Facebook, you can play along at home. You can go to our watch party. We have many fans and followers currently following this show, having debates, questions, gift wars, finding romance, perhaps, having fun, joviality. It's happening now, live. So go to Facebook while you're watching this, at this very moment. Search for more questions and answers with Adrian Lee, and you can play along at home. People play along, they answer the questions, and sometimes they're right. Miss Morris.
Yes, I was just thinking that if you do find romance and love and you end up getting married, don't forget to send us an invite.
Yeah.
She's just after some wedding cake. Don't take no notice of that.
I'm a wedding crasher.
She wants wedding cake is exactly where we are. So you can join us on Facebook. Everything's there for you. Now, as convention dictates, we have the Martin-sponsored Hobnob Digestive Rich Tea British Big Six Selection Gong of Infinite Knowledge. Woo! With the, oh no, I've dropped it in the tea of statistics, and did you get crumbs in the bed of facts? Stand back.
Martin!
Thank you, Martin.
Always very impressive. Interesting how some biscuits in Britain are named after dictators.
What type of taters?
Dictators?
Well, like you've got your bourbon, which is like a chocolate biscuit. You've got your Garibaldi, which is like a biscuit with dead flies in it and raisins. Why would you do that? Why would you name biscuits after dictators? Seems very odd. Bourbon, Garibaldi. You've got your Mussolini, Christmas chocolate assortment.
Nutter butter.
It's a very strange, bizarre world in which we live in. Now we jump into the round that is lack of general knowledge. Points are available. Today we celebrate the birthday of Swedish actor Max von Sydow, born in 1929. Sadly passed just last year, but he had a good innings. Famous, of course, for his roles in The Exorcist. Very relevant, of course, for a paranormal quiz show. Also in Dune, if you remember Dune, if you remember any of the hours of that film. I think it lasted about 15 hours altogether. I think I vaguely remember the middle 4 or 5 hours. Game of Thrones, if you recall. And Ming, the Merciless.
Ooh.
In Flash Gordon. Can you tell our fabulous, beautiful, aesthetic listeners how they can become a Patreon member? Because if I don't get a drink, this show's not going to happen, Miss Morris.
All right. Well, you have to log on to patreon.com, search for More Questions and Answers with Adrian Lee or MQTA Radio, or you can contact one of us. We'll direct you there.
Yep.
And what you can do for a donation of $1 to help this show stay up and running and for us to pay for the lights and paper and alcohol.
I'm not drinking anything other than bottled water, madam.
I told you Dr. McGillicuddy's will take care of all your ails.
Well, the problem lies in the fact that suddenly we've had a bit of hot weather in Minnesota and all the trees are budding. Now, I've been allergic to trees and grass all my life. I came over to America 12 years ago and all of a sudden I wasn't allergic to trees and grass. We must have certain trees and grass in Britain that I'm allergic to and they don't exist over here. I spoke to a doctor, a friend of mine, when I was living in Sauk Centre, and I said to him, I don't have allergies over here. I'm not allergic to the grass. And he said, your body will work all this out. It'll come back. You wait. I think today, this year, is the first time I now have allergies. I've never had them before. So thank you, American trees and grass. I'll be sipping water all the way through this, as you'll hear me croaking away and squeaking in the background. But thank you, Miss Morris, for telling the whole wide world how they can donate a single dollar to keep the show running. We appreciate everything you do, and you get an extra 20 to 25 minutes of filth if you become a member. We stay in the studio at the top of the hour. We do a round called Not For Your Mother, where we talk about the stories from around the world that we cannot read out live on air for fear of being removed or getting a hefty fine, that are pretty much laden with adult material. And some people say it's their favourite part of the show, but you have to pay $1 to make sure you get that, but it's well worth the money, and there's lots of other fun things on there as well. Max von Sydow, Ming the Merciless. Did you like Flash Gordon? Was that a film you enjoyed?
I liked it.
Yeah, it's very camp, very colourful.
Yeah.
What's not to like with a soundtrack written by Queen? You don't even know, do you, Miss Morris? A fan of Flash Gordon?
I think so.
There's several women in it that caught my dad's eye back in 1980 when he was watching it. There was an Italian actress, I think, that played the mean princess that kind of kept my dad interested. I wonder why he was so enthusiastic and assiduous towards taking me to the cinema to see it, but all revealed itself.
More than once?
Yeah.
5 times we went back. So terrible to do. Ming the Merciless is a great name, isn't it?
Yes.
Is like the Merciless his last name? Was it Mr. and Mrs. Merciless? What would you like to call your son? We'll call him Ming.
Ming.
Do you think he's got a brother called Dave?
Ding.
Dave the Merciless. Dave the Merciful. Colin the Merciful is the youngest brother of the 3 and he's a second-hand car salesman. Why can't you be more like your brother? Colin the Merciful. I'd watch that film.
Probably.
Sounds like a winner. Well done, Mr. and Mrs. Merciless, for calling your son Ming. There. 2020, he passed away, but for the very first time in the history of MQTA Radio, I cannot believe that strange, bizarre, and fascinating facts about Flash Gordon. Colin's alive! Doesn't sound the same, does it really?
No.
No. So, points are going a begging. Flash Gordon shared a writer with what TV show? So, Flash Gordon shared a writer with what TV show? What do you think was knocking around? What was Flash Gordon like, do you think? They shared a similar writer. When I tell you this, if you don't get the answer, you'll think to yourself, those two things are connected.
Really?
Flash Gordon shared a
Dukes
writer.
of Hazzard.
He also wrote the Dukes of Hazzard. They're them Duke boys, making their way on your radio how. But I've only got 14 hours to save the Earth. Those Duke boys are at it again in the swamps with Prince Vulcan.
They are.
You're saying that Flash Gordon shared a writer
Yep.
with the Dukes of Hazzard.
Mm-hmm.
Michelle, any thoughts, any suggestions, anything you can think of?
I'm going to say Buck Rogers.
Oh, that's pretty good. You're not a million miles away. What gave Flash Gordon its uniqueness? What would you say? It was camp, it was colourful, it was bright, the costumes were mad.
Underdog.
What TV show was knocking around?
Batman.
There you go. I shall give you your
It wasn't Underdog?
points. No, it wasn't Underdog. I think that's a cartoon, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
They still need writers.
Well, animators. But the answer's Batman. We're wasting time. We already know the answer's Batman.
Yeah.
Batman and Flash Gordon shared the same writers. There you go. If you want to know, it was Lorenzo Semple was his name. Semple. And he worked on Batman from 66 to 69, which I think was its entire run. Remember, always be yourself. Unless you can be Batman, of course, and then always be Batman would be my advice. How did Samuel J. Jones get the role of Flash Gordon? There. How did the man get the job?
He delivered the pizza.
He delivered the pizza. There are examples of this throughout Hollywood. Harrison Ford, of course, got noticed because he was a carpenter on set, for example. There are examples of this. You're saying that Sam J. Jones was delivering a deep pan pepperoni with extra pineapple.
Sure.
And the director said, "You look like you need to be Flash Gordon."
Sure.
That's how that happened.
Yep.
And he got free garlic bread for the rest of his life.
Yes, pizza.
I understand these things. Any thoughts, any suggestions? How did Sam J. Jones get the role of Flash Gordon? And in the background, I'll go ding, 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 ding. While you're thinking, of course. Ding, ding,
He
ding,
was...
ding, ding. Flash!
That's...
Ah!
Stop! You're hurting my ears.
You save every one of us.
He might have been some sort of trainer. I don't know. He was...
I will tell you,
Driver?
he was noticed by the director's mother, if that helps.
Pool boy.
The mother of the director said, "Hey, you need to get this boy up on the silver screen. This is the guy you need. This is the one.
Gardener.
He's the one that you want."
Teacher at the
He's
school.
the one that you want. He was a teacher at the school. She saw him during an episode of The Dating Game, and he was a contestant.
Oh, my goodness.
And she said, "There's our man. There's the boy we needed." The director wasn't convinced by this because apparently it took a year to cast him, and they went backwards and forwards. But he was in the Marines, of course, Samuel J. Jones. He did play amateur football, so he was kind of nudging towards doing the things that were required for the part of Flash Gordon. Match.com. Yeah. It wasn't on Match.com. I'm saying that Match.com says it will start screening its members against sex offenders, against the sex offenders register next month. The site expects to be pervert free by June
Well,
and out of business by July.
goals.
I shall give you more points. Everyone gets points. You get points. You get points. I get points. You get points. Everyone's getting points. Happy times. The audience is getting 2 points. Just for being beautiful and aesthetically pleasing. I bet you never won points like that before, have you? Wow. Large Shakespearean actor Brian Blessed, Gordon's alive, who played Prince Volton, drove the director mad by doing this in most of his scenes. There you go. Do you remember Brian Blessed?
Burping.
Big guy with a beard. I don't want examples of that. We don't need to hear those kinds of things on this show, madam.
Burping.
How dare you? He was burping all the way through his scenes. In the background, everywhere.
Yeah.
He'd had an onion for his breakfast, an onion for his lunch, and he was burping. My dad used to take an onion to work every day and eat it like an apple from his lunchbox. I think it was more to do with the fact that he didn't want my mother to kiss him, but that did happen. That was true. Michelle. Brian Blessed drove the production team to despair by doing this in most of his scenes.
Eating.
I'm going to let you know that most of his scenes involve fighting, if you recall. So what could he be doing whilst he's fighting with a gun that may cause issue? Perhaps in the sound department a little bit later on when they're editing the sound, maybe.
Pew, pew, pew.
Yes, you're 100% correct. He made pew-pew noises all the way through the film. All of his fight scenes, you can read his lips sometimes, but they're trying to do the scene and he's going pew-pew, pew-pew, pew-pew-pew. And apparently the director went nuts, and this was a major confrontation and a major problem. And Brian Blessed said, I just can't do anything about it. It's just one of those, like Tourette's. He had pew Tourette's.
Yeah.
It kept coming out, but that is exactly, I can't believe you got that. I'm going to give you 2 laser gun points there, and you're up to 4, Morris. It's true, he went pew pew all the way through. Pew pew pew, said the church interior designer. Oh, we've got jokes on every level tonight, all the way from the top to the bottom. It's a very historical day today, did you know that? The Titanic set sail today in 1912.
Oh.
That didn't end so well for everyone board there, did it? The Great Gatsby was published today by F. Scott Fitzgerald, and I bring that up purely because he was born and raised in St. Paul in Minnesota, so he's a local to this state, so we're going to bring up F. Scott Fitzgerald as well. But on this day in 1710, the first ever copyright was issued in Britain. So if you wrote a book in 1709, if you had a little ditty in 1709, if you'd done some paintings, a little drawing, if you'd put some prose together in 1709, that could be stolen and used. You should have done it in 1710 because copyright law, for the first time anywhere in the world, came into existence on that day today in Britain. So for the first time in the history of MQTA Radio, and I can't believe we haven't done this any earlier, having been on the air for 9 years, strange, bizarre and fascinating facts about the laws of the British Isles.
Oh,
we are doing
good.
British laws. We've never been there before. We've done every country, every state. Today, I've got the Union Jack behind me. We're going to do some British laws. I will tell you that there's a lot of these, because obviously we've been writing laws in Britain almost since the Magna Carta and before that in the 11th, 10th century. So there's some craziness. We've had a longer time to be more crazy and to be more weird and strange. Things that never made it onto this list was that you weren't allowed to stare at a fish like a salmon, specifically a salmon. You weren't allowed to stare at a salmon in a quizzical way. You weren't allowed to kind of look at it as if you was expecting something. You don't want to shock it, cause it any discomfort. You just can't stare at a salmon.
What if you stared at it in an excited way?
Well, that's acceptable. You just can't be bad for its feelings, you know? I don't want that salmon going back, writing some poetry. That salmon was called Rusty, did you know that?
Yes.
You know, he wrote some poetry about the Titanic. He swam around the Titanic, wrote some poetry. You can read that, by the way. It's the SS Titanic Verses by Sam and Rusty.
No, you didn't. Oh.
It's a gift, isn't it? This is spontaneous, by the way. We've not, practiced any of this stuff. We're just doing it. You're going to get some points. I'm going to give myself points for the SS Titanic Verses by Sam and Rusty, because that's never going to happen ever again. No. So we're
Let's
all
hope so.
on 4s. It's 4s across the board. All the 4s. droopy drawers. It is illegal in Britain to do what in a pub, Miss Morris?
Pray.
I'm going to take you. I'm sure there's a lot of praying going on in pubs.
Sometimes.
Yes, please give me another drink. I don't want to go home. Wow. My dad was in a pub once and a guy got into a lot of trouble. He was so drunk. They actually walked him to his house and they just left him on the doorstep. They rang the doorbell and ran. And his wife opens the door and he's just lying there on the doorstep. And his wife was not happy. Anyway, the guy came in the bar the next day and said, well, my wife was really unhappy. She said, why is that? He goes, I left my wheelchair back in the pub. They didn't realise he was in a wheelchair. They just picked him up and left him on the front yard. How did you get home? Crazy. He had to come back and pick his wheelchair up. 100% true, I tell you. What are you not allowed to do apart from pray? You're going with praying, are you?
In a pub.
And the pubs are very old. I've drank in pubs that date back to the 11th century. If you go to the Sardine Inn on Burr Island, that's the 11th century. The pub in my local village was called the White Hart, and there was monks brewing beer there in the 13th century. It's incredible.
Solicit.
You're not allowed to solicit what?
Women.
Women. Wow. There's some women get 3 or 4 proposals every week, and some of those include marriage. 100% true. What are you going to go with, Michelle? You're not allowed to do this in a pub in Britain.
Bring in your animals.
Animals. You're not allowed to be drunk. You can't be drunk. It's against the law to be drunk.
That's ridiculous.
Well, it does make sense. Ever since 1839, it's against the law to be inebriated in a pub. That does make perfect sense because when you go to the local pubs and bars around town and there's people rolling out that can't, walk properly, there is a law that says you can't be drunk. So the barman can stop giving you drinks on the premise that you can't get drunk. Do you see how that works? There's laws. It makes sense when you kind of put it all together. There you are.
That's ridiculous.
Manel, yes, very true. This is 100% true. You cannot be drunk. Michelle knows she is drunk when she swerves in her car to miss a tree and realises it was the air freshener. I love this show. Makes me very, very happy. In Scotland, imagine Scotland. Rolled oats, constant precipitation and groupal. Miserable people.
What's a groupal?
It's rain. In Scotland, a boy cannot look at this if he's under 10 years old. If he's 10 and a half, if he's 10 and 1 year, 10 and 1 day, 10 and 1 hour. Go for it, son. Little Jimmy. There you go.
Victoria's Secret catalogue.
You are not allowed to look at a Victoria's Secret catalogue if you're a Scottish boy under the age of 10. Seems very specific.
Yeah.
Any thoughts, Michelle? You're 10 years old, you're in Scotland, you're not to be looking at that. You kind of take your eyes away, you know what I'm saying? Like,
The Loch Ness Monster.
you can't find. I have a story of the Loch Ness Monster this week, if we get that far into the show. It has a very, bearing in mind this is a family show and we're going out on a reputable station, it does have a little bit of a sexual connotation, but be careful with your answers. I will give you a clue and say that when I was a small boy, my mother was taking me through Debenhams in Romford, and I did see one of these and I did comment upon it. And my mum told me to be quiet. Well, you're getting in the right direction.
Underpants.
What would they be displayed on, do you think?
A mannequin.
In Scotland, a boy cannot look at a naked mannequin in a shop. There. Can you imagine being arrested for that? Just gazing nakedness.
As a 10-year-old?
As a 10-year-old boy. If you're 10 and a half, go for it. You can look as much as you want. But there is a law in place that in Scotland, a 10-year-old boy and under cannot look at a naked mannequin. I don't know who puts these together.
I don't know either.
Why does everyone need to gulp and make jokes, do you think, every time they see a mannequin getting changed? If you see a mannequin getting changed in a shop window, it draws a crowd. People are making comments. Quite incredible, really. There are more questions than answers, do you not think, based on that?
Yes.
If you are a stripper, see how this show slowly gets away from me. Half an hour in and we're on strippers. If you are a stripper, you are not allowed to wear this. You're not allowed to wear this if you're a stripper.
A gun.
Get it off. Well, that goes without saying in Britain. So you're stark naked, apart from a Beretta.
Correct.
You've got a Walther PPK where the sun don't shine. You're
Pew, pew.
pew, 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 pew. Well, some people have big guns. And some people have small guns. It's just the
Yeah.
weather, isn't it? And how cold it is at the time. If you're a stripper in Britain, you're not allowed to wear a gun. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
You're not allowed to have a gun if you're everything. Never
Well,
mind
then
a
I win.
stripper. Yes, not quite the answer I was looking for, but I
A
can
wig.
understand a wig. You're not allowed to wear a wig.
Yes.
What, an upstairs wig or a downstairs wig?
A merkin.
Oh.
You are suggesting you're not allowed to wear a wig. It'd be a terrible to do, wouldn't it? If you got yourself a stripper and the last thing they took off was their hair.
Down there.
Oh no. Well, let's not
No.
go there. No.
Mm-mm.
You need to look up the Moulin Rouge, around Toulouse-Lautrec's time and see how intricate haircuts were back in the French period of the 1890s. You'll be
Topiary.
surprised. There's a lot of topiary in France during that period of history. Michelle, you're not allowed to wear this if you're a stripper. I think you'd probably like a stripper in America to be wearing this. I think you would specifically ask for this, but it's not allowed in Britain. What would you like? If a stripper arrived now, Michelle, it's your birthday. What would be your favourite stripper song?
That has happened.
I'm coming out. No, I'm coming out's probably not a good song for a
No.
stripper, is
No.
it? Hang on a second. A stripper has been booked for you. Where was this? I need to know details now. You can't
And
let
why
that go.
wasn't I invited?
It was at my 40th birthday.
Your 40th? Wow.
I
So
didn't
what-
get that.
So were they doing this in the 70s? What was- So it's your 40th birthday. Where are you?
In Wisconsin.
You're in Wisconsin.
Wisconsin, yeah.
And where did this happen? In a pub?
At my house.
And so there's a party at your house
My ex-husband made a big party for me.
at your 40th.
And he hired the stripper?
When did you know
No.
something was amiss?
Well,
When it
there was a
police
lot of
officer.
people there.
Okay.
And we had a big yard with
Right.
a long driveway.
Yes.
And I saw this guy walking up the driveway in leather pants
Okay.
Nice.
carrying a boombox.
Okay.
Sweet.
And I
I think
said to
the
myself,
DJ's arrived.
this is how dumb I am. I said to myself, I wonder who's getting the stripper.
You're the birthday girl. It's your birthday party, and you are. I wonder who's got the stripper. Wow.
My girlfriends from work all chipped in and got him.
And was it everything off? Was everything off?
No.
No. Okay. That's probably illegal in Wisconsin.
There were a couple girls in the crowd.
They were maniacal.
Yes.
Their blood suddenly rose. Their fingernails were out,
Yep.
and they went for it.
The
Uh-huh.
gropers.
Oh my. What was his name? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
I want it to be something banal and Nigel.
I had to
Nigel
fish his business card out of his G-string.
God, at least you didn't have to pull his business out of his jean string.
Oh, no.
Well, I'm glad you remember such wonders.
Yes.
When my dad, who worked as a teacher, had a birthday party, all the students clubbed together, and a rather large lady came into the classroom and basically grabbed him by the throat and pinned him against the wall and stripped him naked in front of his class. So that was good times for him. Terrible to do. In fact, my dad had a similar situation that he walked through the lobby of the school. This is a college. Let's get that. It's not like 11
Elementary.
No, it's
Yeah.
not. He's just older students. And it was a different time, of course. This was the gay abandon of the late 70s and early 80s. You couldn't do this now, but he remembers walking through the lobby and seeing the woman sat there, and he thought to himself, crikey, that's someone's mother. Little did he know that 20 minutes later, he'd be bouncing around like in a bouncy castle with glitter and sweat.
Nice.
That was. There's some photographs
I
somewhere.
feel his pain.
My dad's used to be a boxer. He's a big, he's a lump. Do you know what I mean? He's solid.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad said he had no chance. The woman just pinned him down, and he fought bravely for the first 2 or 3 minutes.
He just can't.
Yeah, it was
Deodorant.
a sad state of affairs. This is what's happening in classrooms around Britain as we speak. We're no closer to the answer. You're not allowed in Britain to dress as a policeman or a fireman. It's illegal to impersonate any of those, and you can't be a stripper, be a fireman. That's why I said you might quite like a fireman or a policeman or a soldier.
What?
Hey, you
That was
can't
a
be-
bad question.
Why?
What are you not allowed to wear?
You're
a
not-
policeman. I'm not going to wear a
No,
policeman.
a policeman's outfit, you muppet.
No,
No, he
what
doesn't
are you...
come into a club with a policeman wrapped around him.
I'm not
This
allowed
is
to
PC
wear a
Johnson. He
fireman
was
tonight.
just yeah, wow.
Maybe tomorrow.
Postal worker?
I think everyone else... Yes, you're allowed to wear a... You can dress as... Do you want a postal worker stripper? I've got a large package that needs delivering.
Yep.
There you go. Just sign this for me. Wow. You can ring my bell. Yes. Yes, to deliver the mail, ultimately.
Yes.
A bit of Anita Ward there from 1979. We touched upon her last time. Wow. My ex-wife told me she wanted me to have the body of a stripper, but she complained when I brought one home, so I don't know what was going on there. You're not allowed. This show's going on forever, isn't it? You're not allowed to transport this if you're in a taxi. So if you've got a taxi
monkey.
cab, you're driving down Regent Street in a black cab. Well, did you watch the soccer last night? I can't believe our Arsenal played. I mean, they just want to walk it in. What was Wenger thinking? And did you see the Queen come out and tell all that to the newspapers? So you're saying that you can't pick up a monkey
Right. Yep.
if you're driving a black cab
Nope.
in Britain? And why
Sure.
would the answer to this be such? Why is that on the cards?
Bad experiences
Bad
in the past.
experience by monkeys.
They got
They're-
stiffed too many
They're
times.
busy.
Put the money in a bag. Wow.
Just paid them in peanuts.
Nice. He just sat in the back with a tyre and a banana, disengaged. This is bad monkey experiences. There should be a book written about bad monkey taxi experiences. No, the answer's not a monkey. I want it to be a monkey,
I wanted it to be a
but
monkey.
it's not a monkey.
Oh.
What are you not allowed to take in a cab in Britain?
Prostitute.
You can take a prostitute in a cab. Apparently that's something that can happen. It's a corpse. There you go.
Oh.
What if you die?
Well,
On the way
then he
somewhere.
kicks you out halfway through before emptying your wallet of everything you've got in it. I know what's going to happen. I'm a psychic. I'm fully aware of what's about to happen, but I will read this out. It's a corpse, but also you're not allowed to take a rabid animal.
Like a monkey?
Like a prostitute.
So a dead rabid monkey prostitute would just not happen. No rabid dead monkey prostitutes.
No.
I can't ever see that scenario taking place, but there are laws on the books for that to happen. No one gets any points. I'm not sure what
Whatever.
Heather's spirit animal is, but I'm sure it's got rabies. You are not permitted to do this after a funeral has taken place.
Oh, I can't
In
say
Britain,
that right
you
now.
are not allowed to do this after a funeral has taken place in Britain. These laws are on the books
Where?
for very specific reasons. Where?
Yes.
Around the grave?
Okay. I just needed to know if it was like in the chapel or by the grave.
Where would a funeral normally end, do you think? What's the kind of, there's a process of a funeral. You
At a
meet in-
lawyer's office?
You meet in a car park, you chat with your aunts and uncles that you only see at funerals and weddings. You then go into the church, you have the service, the coffin disappears, you then wander out into the churchyard. I mean, in a typical linear line of a funeral, and I say you're not allowed to do this at the end of the funeral, where do you think you are at the end? You're staring at the mound of dirt, aren't you? And everyone
Sure.
goes home. So, you're not allowed to do this at the end of a funeral.
Pick a flower.
No picking of flowers, Michelle.
Dig it up.
Dig it up. That would be disappointing. I will tell you, you're not allowed to linger. You can't hang around. Ashes to ashes, funk to funky. Bugger off. Jog on. You're done, mate. I think there were occasions where people didn't want to leave the grave and the grave diggers have to fill it in and it was getting in the way and there's other people lined up. Less of the crying. The grave diggers are in the background going, waiting for you to get on your merry way.
Jog on.
Jog on. No lingering in this cemetery, mate. Jog on. You're done. Next, please. In 2015, a man was charged £160 for staying an extra 20 minutes after his wife had died and the service had finished. This seems a bit rough, doesn't it, to be
Yeah.
honest?
Jeez.
It stops grave diggers from doing their work. If a grave digger becomes ill, do you think someone fills in for them?
Oh, God.
No.
This is
No.
the bits of the show I like. That was then, but this is now as we enter our favourite part of the show. It's the mailbag.
Mailbag.
We love the mailbag. Lisa, who's a good Patreon
Hi, Lisa.
follower and writes to us every single week from Buffalo Lake in Minnesota, has posted Happy Easter. Thank you so much for a fun show tonight. Loved every single minute of it.
Oh,
thank
thank
you.
You can write to us. Each week you can write on Facebook. More questions and answers with Adrian Lee. Any comments, anything you want to say about the show, the bits you like, the bits you don't like. We shall read those out on air, so you're more than welcome to do that. We've already spoken about Patreon and how you can support the show if you go to MQTA Radio on Patreon and donate $1. We're on Facebook, of course, and I've read all of those out. You can see every single show we've ever done on YouTube. If you look for more questions and answers with Adrian Lee, last week's Easter special and everything else is on there as well. Everything's free for you. I am an author. If you're interested in ghosts, if you're interested in UFOs, hauntings, the paranormal, psychic activity, all my books are available if you search for Adrian Lee on Amazon, and my latest book is called The Ghosts of the Dakota War 1862, and it has 5 out of 5 stars on Amazon. So thank you for all of those people that have written very kind reviews. Very quickly, Miss Morris, what do we do every single Tuesday at 8 p.m?
What we do is we log on to the History Channel and we watch The Curse of Oak Island at 8 o'clock at night. We have gift wars and we drink a lot of alcohol, and we find out that they found nothing. Nothing.
You say that, but they found a button and some wood last week.
Oh my God.
They found some Finnish wood, and then they said it was Polish. I don't know what's going on. I think
I'm
the Beatles wrote a
sorry,
song
I
called
missed that.
Norwegian Wood. Yes, you missed a lot.
I did.
So everything's to look forward to. Join us on Tuesday. What else could you be doing that's more fun on a Tuesday at 8 p.m? Unless you're waiting for a stripper to arrive and a dead prostitute monkey.
That's rabid.
But that's Friday nights. Michelle's on 6, I'm on 4, Heather's on 4, you're on 2, as we enter our next round, which is called Ghosts and Hauntings. And remember, we do not do orbs. Kerry Katona is convinced her mum's home is haunted after lights keep turning on and off in her presence.
Really?
She probably bought them at IKEA. The former Atomic Kitten singer took several videos of the creepy goings-on and posted them to her Instagram page, which served to completely freak out her fans. Mum of 5, Kerry, was at her home. At her mum's home. She has this going on in her mother's home. Her mum's name is Sue. She's over Sue's house for the Easter weekend when her table lamp next to her mother's bed randomly flickered. It's the ghosts of dead light bulbs, been and gone. After catching what she believed was the evidence on the video, she revealed it isn't the first time something so unsettling has happened.
Hold on. A light flickered?
That's exactly what happened.
And that was unsettling.
It was, yes. It
That's
shocked her.
Such bunk!
Oh, Heather has rung the bunk bell, which means anywhere in the world, right now, wherever you're listening, wherever you're watching, you can have a drink. So if you're playing the Bell Bunk and Snort drinking game, pros, salute, skull, and cheers, wherever you are in the world. We have 190 countries listening to us all around the globe. 250,000 followers. You can now have a drink on us. Kerry says that she also has a video of her daughter dancing and said there were so many orbs she couldn't believe it.
Oh, that would be dust. That's
Dust.
also bunk.
We don't do
Dust.
orbs. Her dancing kicked up a lot of dust, apparently. Kerry thought, if you don't believe me, punch your sofa, take a photograph, and look at all the spirits you've set free. 100% true. Kerry, 40, said of her flickering lights, just so you guys have a bit of an idea. Just to be clear, this has been going on for years with me. I know this scares a lot of people, but it always makes me smile. When did a flickering light ever scare anyone? Normally it
Change
should-
the bulb.
Yes, I've got a red light over to my right here that keeps buzzing and hissing in my ear, and I'm waiting to explode on me at any point during this show. Her mum, Sue, added, just to let you know, that's my flat, and not one of my lights has ever flickered before. They always go off when Kerry comes around, and then they go off again when she leaves. And I'm in two minds whether to let her come back again. I've listened to her music. I wouldn't let her back in again. Several psychic mediums commented on the post, with one telling the bubbly pop star she should develop her gift. Medium Lindsay Shanklin said, love it. You should definitely do more to develop your gifts, as spirits definitely want to speak to you. One follower said, this happened to me a couple of weeks ago while talking to my brother about my mum, who has passed. It doesn't frighten me, I get comfort from it. Flickering ghostly light, oh what a load of old shenanigans. You decide, go to our Facebook site, More Questions and Answers with Adrian Lee. I shall give myself 2 points. Miss Morris, what have you got for me tonight in the round of ghosts and hauntings?
An exorcist from the Philippines maintains that popular horror movies are a source of actual real-life demons. Do you believe it?
It's incredible.
I know.
Who knew?
When William Friedkin's 1973
Bread tin,
horror
Mr. Bread
classic, The Exorcist, first released, some cinemagoers, cinematographers.
Tin. Wow. God. What have you been drinking? Show me that bottle. What is in that?
It's just black cherry.
Black cherry what?
Root beer or something? Soda?
Have you added to it?
No, but I did in this one.
Oh, so you've got 2 drinks on the go.
Mm-hmm.
3.
You're mixing your drinks. There's 3.
They're all
You've got
here.
a Monster Energy drink,
Yep.
a cupful of alcohol,
Yep.
and a cherry soda.
Yes.
Aren't you supposed to mix them in like one glass like a cocktail
They're
rather than
mixed
taking
in my
one?
mouth.
I can see what's going on. I'll be squeezing some lemon in there and putting the salt round the rim.
Oh, God.
Good times.
Well, the people that went to the movie were so disturbed by what they saw on the screen that it caused them to faint on the spot. I actually did hear that there was some outbreak at The Exorcist.
Outbreak.
There was an outbreak at The Exorcist.
Yeah. While
If it's going to happen,
While today the movie is still a classic, almost 50 years of increasingly violent and grotesque horror movies have left cinema audiences far less sensitive to the relatively tame scenes within it. For one man, however, the movie, as well as many other modern horror films, are not simply pieces of harmless entertainment, but sources of actual, real-life demons capable of possessing the living. So don't go to the movies, you're going to get possessed.
so we can't go to see Harry Potter.
No, you leave him alone in all the movies they're in.
So their suggestion, just the fact that we're opening ourselves up to the suggestion, are people watching this paranormal news quiz show right now
Correct.
opening themselves up to the darkness?
Yep, they're going to get possessed.
Wow. Well, my advice is to get some salt, run it round your house, and then carry on watching.
Yeah, you eat another bowl of Cheerios. You're feeding too now.
Wow, I got haunted by a bowl of Cheerios once. I looked down and it went, ooh. Scared the life out of me.
In a recent Facebook post, Father Ronnie E. Oblong of the Diocese of
He sounds like a square.
Demagoot listed a number of movies that he believes are responsible for demonic possessions that he has exorcised. I have been exorcising a young woman for many weeks now. 39 demons
What country is this?
already have been cast
Philippines.
out in the Philippines.
Oh, that's a Filipino accent. She's going through all of her accents for
5
us.
of these demons
All the way through A to B.
come from the movies the demonic had watched. So, the demons are also watching the movies to see who's
Oh.
watching them and then possessing the people that are watching them, apparently. The demons have the names of the demons are either the primary or the secondary characters of these movies. Would you like to hear the movies?
I'd like
Yes.
to know what a secondary character was for a haunted movie. Is a secondary character behind Darth Vader, like the Emperor, for example?
I
Yeah.
don't pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. I don't know.
Okay, the force is strong with this one.
Oh, God.
Let's hear him then. Come on then.
All right. First, Valak from the movie The Nun. Second, Esme from the movie Twilight.
These are the ones we have to avoid.
Yeah, don't watch Twilight. You're going to get possessed.
Well, there's
Third.
lots of reasons to watch Twilight. That's just one of them, isn't it?
The third is Sylvia Ganoush from the movie Drag Me to Hell. Fourth is Diana Walter from the movie Lights Out. And fifth is Annabelle from the movie Annabelle.
Do you get the impression
So,
that in the
don't watch any of
Philippines they're getting old 16mm films? Because that's not like a modern selection, is it? Do you know what I'm saying?
Not really.
They're
But
getting the films a little bit later than everyone else. They're campaigning on the streets of the Philippines right now about the release of The Exorcist. So they're a little behind the times, aren't they, I
Little
would
bit.
suggest?
So just
That was
so
74.
all of those movies have demons in them, and they might possess you.
Oh.
So if you go to the cinema, garlic, sage...
Holy Bible.
Yes, any of those potato chips would be perfectly acceptable. You could take some garlic bread into the cinema with you, and there would be a bubble of protection around you.
Right.
Garlic bread is the way to go if you visit the cinema to watch demonic-based films.
Correct.
What a great night out for everyone. Not so good if you're in the back seat of the cinema with garlic breath, I would suggest. I guess the trick is both of you to eat it, right?
Yeah.
I just haven't thought this
Bring
through.
it for everyone.
Yeah, share.
I'll give you a couple of points, Maurice. You're up to...
Thank you.
You'll never believe this. Every single person is on 666 right now.
See? I foretold that.
Demonic.
I don't know if you can see my notes. I'm really not making it up. We're all on the sixes right now. Loch Ness, I did promise you the Loch Ness Monster, didn't I? A fourth official sighting of the Loch Ness Monster has been registered this year, with 2 black humps seen in the water. Nessie enthusiast Ian Farragon claims to have spotted the shapes around 10 feet apart and splashing around in the loch in the Highlands last Friday. The 56-year-old said he noticed the mythical beast rising up and down near Urquhart Castle, the area where sightings of the mystery creature are at their highest. Ian has had 12 sightings recorded by the official Loch Ness Monster sighting register since 1987. I didn't know such things existed. There is a register. You can give them your evidence. They decide whether it's Nessie or not. The health worker from Donegal, Ireland, managed to record the strange disturbance via a Loch Ness webcam. His video shows thick ripples out of the water despite there being no boats on the loch. 2 large breaks in the water appear with a rough distance of 10 feet between them. The humps slowly move over the surface of the water for an extended period of time before completely disappearing. Ian immediately sent his new sightings across to the official Loch Ness Monster sighting register, who then registered it as an official sighting. He said, "While watching the webcam in the late afternoon, my attention was attracted to a disturbance in the water in the middle of the lake. A black shape broke the surface with a wake. It was moving slowly, but was causing a lot of water agitation all around it." There, I did something like that after being at the state fair and eating all their food.
You got agitated?
Well, it suddenly appeared in Lake Superior as 2 big black lumps in the water and created a wake, if that helps. 2 black lumps, shapes that seem to be popping up and down as it cut through the surface of the loch. The object has been viewed millions of times online, and it lasts 1 minute and 41 seconds before disappearing, and there was no boat activity at the time. Hump-like shape, or that's just fake. You decide. If you go to our Facebook site, More Questions and Answers with Adrian Lee, I'm a poet and I know it, and you will see everything on there, Loch Ness related, for yourself in the comfort of your own tent on the beach of Loch Ness. Michelle, what have you got for me tonight in the round of ghosts and hauntings?
A spooky childlike figure has sent shivers down spines after it was spotted beneath an eerie auditorium. Bill Bradbury, a former teacher, snapped the photo in an alleyway that runs under Victoria Hall, a 121-year-old building in Bolton, Greater Manchester. Sharing the photo online, he thought it would be a purely historical interest until locals spotted a ghostly presence staring out from the building in the background. "This area is unusual and I suspect a little explored," he said. "It is below the level of much of Bolton town centre, being at the level of the River Coral."
I've been to Bolton. You want to spend most of the time underground. Just saying.
Yes. And it's a reminder of an older Bolton, much more of which would have been at that level. Thus I thought it would be of interest to others. I only saw the face when someone spotted it on my photo. In Bill's pictures, a head and shoulders seemed to be visible.
A head and shoulders appeared. Was you waiting for the infamous... There you go. You've bunked your own story by giving Heather the nod. Again, if you're drinking anywhere around the world, have a drink on us. It's the Bell Bunk and Snort drinking game. So again, cheers. Have one on us.
In a sealed-up window frame opposite, one viewer commented, "There's definitely a boy at the top left. Looks like he's got the old Victorian clothes on. Brilliant. I love a ghostly pick. Another commented, who is that behind the window at the bottom of the alley? I can see a young boy. Looks like an altar boy, said
Wow.
a third person.
Oh, God.
Wow. You can see those for yourself again on Facebook if you wish to see the ghostly Victorian altar boy. Everything is there for you if you go to our Facebook site. More questions and answers with Adrian Lee. Have you got a story, Morris, or do you want me to jump in?
I have a story.
Go on, let's hear it. You need the points. This could nudge you into the lead. You know that.
Well, this is going to fall into strange. Is that okay?
Strange and bizarre.
Yes.
Always good.
Digging up a box of buried treasure in the garden and making our millions is a scenario we all dream about. So when one man discovered a heavy concrete box hidden a couple of feet beneath the dirt of his home, it seemed like maybe he had hit the jackpot. But it didn't quite contain the goods he was looking for. These aren't the goods you're looking
I
for.
would suggest that finding a concrete box, that's your best Alec Guinness impression, is it? Sorry, I had to stop there for a minute. These are not the droids you're looking for. Move along.
All right, here we go. TikTok user, I'm not going to say his name. We'll just call him Tony.
Tony, okay.
Yes, uploaded a clip of him digging with a spade along with a caption, found a secret box in the ground.
To be
He's
fair,
so lucky.
if you find something concrete in the garden, there's a reason people have put concrete around that, is normally what's happened. I found concrete in my garden, but it turned out to be the foundations of an Anderson shelter from the Second World War.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, lots of gardens in Britain and backyards have concrete construction under the surface for air raid shelters during the war.
Oh,
Do you remember the war? I mean, we had carpet bombing for 3 years before you guys bothered to turn up, so you might not recall, but it did happen.
Well, it's since been watched more than 4.1 million times. He said, I was doing some gardening in my backyard today and I uncovered some sort of crazy secret concrete box in the ground.
Crazy.
I found a handle after digging for a while. Then, after digging for a bit more, I uncovered a second handle. He is so lucky. It's a big chest. I kept
We all
going
know what a big chest looks like, don't we?
until I got it cleaned to the point where I could start to attempt to lift it up. So he's going to pick that bugger up.
You've got 30 seconds, Morris.
All right. So when I tried, it was a little heavy. So then I brought it in the big guns, and you'll never believe what I found. He films himself running away from the box as he retches and pulls the top cover.
And
He
we'll
pulls
never
it
know.
up to cover his mouth, revealing that what he had dug up was the septic tank for his house. He found a lot of chocolate.
Oh, my. Wow, it is Easter, isn't it?
A lot
Waiting
of
for, at least he
chocolate.
didn't drop his phone in it. What a good things come to an end. So because tonight's scores. In last place with the K2 meter and the dead battery, it is Michelle, who's currently throwing up a nice number. 7. There you go. She gets a flickering light and a dusty old sofa. In second place tonight is myself. I've scored 9. I get a rabid stripper monkey and a postal worker's costume. But in first place, running away tonight with a $33,000 IR camera, is Heather Morris. She has scored herself a nice resplendent 10. She gets a cherry soda, a possession, 2 large black lumps and a salty ring. Everything to play for. Don't forget you can join us every week on More Questions and Answers. If you join our Facebook site, where you can go and see us on YouTube, there's all manner of crazy places you can find us. My gratitude and gracious thanks are extended to Lorna Hunter, Heather Morris, Jeton Drainer, Michelle Corey and all of the International Paranormal Society in paranormal.net. It just remains for me to say thank you for listening, and remember, be interesting and interested. Good night.